Hello and welcome to Sweet Tea and Thread. We are a knitting, crochet, sometimes sewing, sometimes embroidery podcast, and glad you could join us today. I'm Shay.
And I'm Bethany. What episode is this?
14.
14. So we got past 13.
Yeah.
So we're already on episode 14. Thank you so much if you're a returning viewer, and if you're a new viewer, then welcome. We love having you here. If you like the podcast, you can leave us a thumbs up and a comment down below letting us know what you like, and feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It'll just send you a notification when we upload a new video.
So we'll start with, how about what we're wearing?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm wearing the Wrapped in Gray shawl from Appalachian Baby. It's designed by Donna Miles, and it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had done this once before, I think 2 podcasts ago.
Yep.
And showed it, and it was
much smaller.
And gauge can be very important.
Mm-hmm.
I did not gauge swatch. My gauge was my finished project, I think, because
Yeah.
I brought it in and measured it, and I thought, I'm like, not just a couple of inches, but a couple of feet.
Yeah, and the kit
Short
uses like 4 skeins of the Appalachian Baby, and you'd only use like 3.
Yeah, I
So-
thought, I didn't even get into that 4th skein. I think maybe something's wrong. But it called for a size 9 eye hook, and I'm a fairly average crocheter. I'm not too loose, I'm not too tight. Everything I've ever done has been pretty much on point. I used an 11 on this, the L hook,
Yeah.
to get this. And so, yeah. And I tried a couple of other, I started at the I, J, K, and did a couple of others. I'm still not quite getting there. So, but anyway, it's turned out to be a very lovely shawl. It has a nice drape to it. It's I love the look of it.
And the binding down at the
Mhm.
bottom, or the little edge.
Yeah, it has a little picot edge.
Just a nice little finish
Mhm.
to it. So
And we used a button from the shop instead of the button that came in the kit. It was just a unfinished wooden button, which would be beautiful. It could be stained, it could be painted, all that.
you could leave it as is if you wanted to, because
Yeah.
it is a gorgeous button.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We
But,
liked that one.
Yeah, I've been admiring these buttons for a little while here, and I thought, I think I'm going to put one of those on this lovely little shawl.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it was an enjoyable crochet, even though I did it twice.
Yeah, and when we put a
So-
post about this up on the Facebook page for Thread, somebody had asked what level this crochet project was considered, and the company actually labels it as like an advanced beginner. I think if you have minimum crochet experience, the basic stitches and how to read a pattern, advanced beginner is definitely something that would be an accurate representation of the skill level.
Yeah,
So-
because really you're using a double crochet, a half double crochet, and then there is, doing the picot edge, but it's basically
It's a rectangle.
a double crochet and some chaining. So yeah, and it's a rectangle.
So there's not a lot of complicated shaping that you have to consider when doing it. So
Exactly. So it's beautiful, but it's also kind of warm in here today. So now that you've seen it in all its glory, I'm going to take it off and move it over to the side.
Yeah. And so
So-
we do have kits for that,
Yes.
but we also have the yarn that it uses in a variety of different colors if you wanted to come in and get a different color and buy the pattern either on Ravelry or their website.
Mhm.
So
And we're real excited about doing some crochet. March is the month of crochet by the crochet. What
it's
does
like
that
Crochet
word?
Guild of America.
Yeah,
I
Crochet
believe,
Guild
is
of
the-
America.
Yeah. So
So they've been doing it for 18 years. So it's really nice. So we had just by chance had decided to do several things that were crocheted here in the last few weeks, and I thought,
Yeah.
Look what I
we
found.
Switched out our
Crochet mat.
display up there as well
Yeah,
to a bunch of
to
crochet
celebrate
projects,
crochet. So
yeah.
all right. Well, you want to go ahead with what you're wearing?
So I'm wearing crochet. I didn't make this. Other than the yarn, I did dye the yarn for this. My mom actually crocheted this for me because she's a lot faster. I could have done it, but she's a lot faster. This is the Wonder Cardigan, and it is done out of 5 skeins of fingering weight. The designer, I will say, is Expression Fiber Arts. You can look it up on Ravelry, and I believe she has a website where she sells these patterns. So the yarn is actually some of the yarn that I dyed. I'll show you the back of it too. This is some of the yarn that I dyed first. So this is a fingering weight. I believe it's a 4-ply, and it's a 80-20 blend. We don't carry it here anymore. We've kind of switched it out for a couple of different types of yarn, but we have some that are comparable that you can use for it. It takes 3 skeins of what is the speckled on mine. You could do a solid or a neutral, and then it takes 1 skein each of these colors that you use for these decorative borders. This runs along the top of it as well as the bottom, and my mom did modify it so that they are on this little sleeve cuff. So this is knit as a rectangle. So you start out pretty much the same as the top of this here. You have a couple of rows of the speckle, then you do a row of this colored textured stitch, a row of the speckle, the textured stitch in another color, then you do a ton of rows of speckled. I think it's, I don't know, like 100 something. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but when you're just sitting there and watching TV and just kind of crocheting, it's all the same stitch. You don't really have to worry about it. But it seamed. So you do crochet a big rectangle, and each side will have a border. The top of it, the bottom of it will have these borders. Then you seam it for the sleeve and just do a couple of in the round for a little bit of a cuff. So it's kind of like this cocoon shape. I'll kind of step back.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
But
I
it's
love
really
it.
comfortable. It's drapey. I've enjoyed wearing it quite a bit. This was going to be kind of more of a spring, but I've worn it in the winter and I don't care. So I'll wear it in the spring, I'll wear it in the winter, I'll probably wear it again in the fall when it gets chilly. But
well, I mean, our winters are,
they're mild.
fairly mild, so yeah.
But the like I said, the yarn that I used was some of the yarn that I had originally dyed for the shop that we're not carrying. But we do have some of my yarn that is an MCN fingering. So this is going to be a merino, cashmere, and nylon blend. And I've done a ton of different tonals. So you can see I have some rich colors, some really bright colors, you know, some really soft colors in that. There's also the Angora sock. So this one is merino, nylon, and Angora. And we don't have a lot of this. A lot of it has sold. There's only a few colors left in that. But the great thing about this is it's fingering weight. You can combine it with anything. I pulled some Big Sky because
that would be really pretty
her
too.
Speckles are gorgeous. And then you just take it
and do that and add that to it. And you could even add, because I feel like I saw some green in one of those.
There's a little bit in there. So you could add a green. You could always do something like this.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really pretty.
You know, this, and maybe add a splash of orange. So, you know, play around with different yarn dyers and different, you know, colored skeins.
Exactly.
I did bring over the new Heritage that we got in. So this is Heritage Sock, and it's their solid colors. We got, let me see if I can.
Some really pretty colors. You want me to hold part of them?
Yep.
Yeah.
My hands aren't quite that big. But so we have new colors in for this, and that would be also really pretty, especially if you want to just like grab a skein of a speckled and then combine it with something
how
like
pretty is that? Yeah.
So it's fun when you work in a yarn shop because you get to play with a bunch of different colors and kind of pick out different palettes. So
Yes.
I mean, you know, we got options.
We're playing all the time.
So But yeah, this was fairly easy for her. And I think she said this would be kind of like an advanced beginner pattern as well.
Mm-hmm.
So not too complicated, but you know, the borders are a little bit of an interesting stitch that's easy to learn, but you might have to look at the pattern a few times to get the rhythm of it.
Yeah. All right, you want to move on to the scarf?
Sure.
Since we're still talking about crochet, go ahead to some finished objects.
Yep. So my mom also does a lot of stuff for the shop that's crocheted because she's the crocheter in the family and I'm the knitter. So she recently finished this gorgeous, look how
Oh, yeah.
it's long,
Yeah.
keeps going.
I could throw that on with what I've got on today.
Well, why don't you?
I might just do it.
Here,
So, but it's really pretty.
wear it kind of like that.
Yeah.
So this is the Odyssey wrap, and I believe the designer's name is Toni Lipsy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, go to Ravelry and look at all of her patterns because
my
they
gosh.
are gorgeous.
We were so in love.
I know. I keep scrolling through the patterns, just like the popular patterns right now on Ravelry, and most of her patterns are showing up as things that people are really interested in, that they're working on, that they've saved in their favorites. And I can totally see why, because it's beautiful patterns like this.
Yeah. It has her things have a modern aesthetic to them, which I think both of us are really drawn to.
Yeah, because most of the time when people hear crochet, they think, oh, the Afghans that my grandmother made.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. Those are beautiful
Yes, they
pieces
are.
of artwork that your grandmother has made, but crochet can also be done in a more modern way. So it
Yes.
depends on your taste and what you're interested in, but there's a lot of variation to crochet that I think people haven't yet explored. So,
Yeah.
but this was done in modern cotton, and it is a DK weight, so it is a nice drapey cotton rayon blend for this yarn. The finished fabric drapes really nicely. It's very lightweight. This is going to be the perfect spring, summer scarf down here. You know, it's not going to be too heavy. And so it takes 2 of your main color, which she used white as the main color. And then I believe it's 3 contrasting colors. And of course, you can always just do 2 colors. You can do a total of 3 colors. You could do 4 like the pattern calls for. You can do whatever you want with this pattern.
Exactly.
But we have
Lots of colors.
Lots. That's not even half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's always all kinds of ways they could be combined.
Yeah, but look at.
Mm-hmm. That would be really pretty.
Really fun, bright. This makes me think of like tropical, beachy. I don't know why.
It does.
And then, you know, you can always go for neutrals. Like, this is my favorite color palette. It's classic. It's gray, black, white, and red. But, I mean, there's so many different options that you can use. Can you tell that gray and white are kind of like my I put them with everything. But you're welcome to mix it up if you want to. I mean, there's so many different ways to do that. So,
but it's, you know, starting out with a neutral and then adding your pop of color is always a great
that's always
look.
a great option. Yeah.
It
I think
really
I've
is.
covered up our notes with all of my yarn.
That's okay.
I'm going to start piling the yarn over here.
We just wrote them down. Maybe we can keep them in a head for a minute.
Stuff.
So,
But yeah,
all right.
pile.
I think that's it for crochet.
That's it for crochet.
All right.
You go ahead and
So we'll
show-
move on to knitting. Once again, guess what my finished object is?
There's some yarn down here I'm going to pick up.
Yep, socks. So I think I said last podcast I was still in Knitmas. Well, I think we're moving on to Knitster, knitting for Easter, since we're this late. So, yeah. So another stripy pair of socks this time, you know, with a long cuff. My daughter, Lindy, likes a long cuff. And, again, my stripes matched up pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always pleased with that. But, again, this is Knit Cowl. I tell you, I love this yarn.
It's great yarn.
Mm-hmm. And so these are just a few more color options that we have that I think I'll probably be knitting socks out of them also.
I love this one.
Mm-hmm.
This
I think that would be so fun.
Really bright, fun colors.
Yeah.
Neutrals for the guys.
I'm going to work my way through all the knit call colors.
Oh.
And maybe twice.
Well.
Through all of them. So, but between the crocheted shawl and the socks, that's what I've got for today in finished objects.
Yep. Okay, so I have 2 finished objects now. I did not knit these in the time that it took in between last podcast and this podcast. And
That's okay.
not entirely. And to be completely honest, one of them was languishing since I was like 18. I'm 23. How many years is that?
I have a project at home that's been languishing for 40 years.
Okay, so
One day I'll finish it.
oh, I
and
don't
bring it
feel
in.
so bad. Okay.
Hey, it's the month of crochet and it's a crochet project. Maybe I ought to pull that out and get busy and get it finished.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the one that was languishing for a long time. This, I'm going to be completely honest, it was going to be a lot bigger. I had a ton more colors. I think I had like 8 or 9 in total,
But it's beautiful and it's a perfect size.
it's the perfect size as
Yes,
is. So
it
this
really is.
is the Amazing Seed Stitch Wrap.
Yeah.
I color blocked it. It was supposed to kind of look like it faded a little bit, but the colors I chose didn't really, and I didn't know how to fade with the striping at that point, so I didn't worry about it.
No, I love it.
But this thing is huge, and I will actually take this off.
Yeah,
Because why not?
exactly. We're having model changing.
Fashion show.
Yeah.
You ready?
There you go.
That was a bit of a fail, but
I
this
love it.
thing
I just love it.
is absolutely amazing.
It really is.
So I used Barocco Vintage for this, and the pattern is called the Amazing Seed Stitch Wrap by Pearl Soho. They had one, I think that they had done like a gradient yarn out of some of their own yarn. That was kind of the look I wanted to go for, but since I decided to use vintage, which was more affordable because you're on a college student budget, you can't
It's a
afford
great
a lot of
yarn.
yarn.
Yeah, it's a great yarn. It
And
feels good.
Anyway,
I love it.
It ended up color blocking, but I'm so happy with it. I love this yarn. Like, this yarn is my go-to when I need a project that I want to be really nice and soft and drapey and like just have a good feel to it, but not be outrageously expensive, because some yarns you buy are really nice and the price tag kind of matches that. And then some
Yeah.
yarns you buy are really nice and the price tag's a little bit nicer for you to handle.
Yeah.
That's what vintage is for me. This is just my go-to workhorse yarn. I love it. So anyway, it's 5 colors? No, more than 5 colors, isn't it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. 6 colors. I do have notes on my Ravelry page if you want to take a look and kind of, I don't know, see what I did. I didn't modify it too much. I mean, I followed the pattern. It's basically seed stitch the whole way. You just change the color when you want to, when you run out of the yarn, whatever you want to do with it. So, and I know a lot of people find seed stitch kind of, I don't know, laborious, but
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's so relaxing. You get into that rhythm of back and forth. It's like ribbing on a hat
Exactly.
or a sock for me. It's
Yep.
just,
We've talked about how much we like ribbing.
yeah. So,
We do.
anyway, really all I had to do to finish this was take out part of another color I had started to add and then cast off. So,
It's great.
like,
Yeah, when she had it
4 or
on
5
one day when I
years.
came in, it was the first day she'd worn it to work, and said, oh my gosh, that is, I just love that. What is that?
And it's vintage, so.
Mm-hmm.
And we have vintage here, so we have a lot of the same colors, and then we have some new colors as well. So I just grabbed a bunch of different, I didn't grab any particular color. I was just like, oh yes, that looks pretty. Oh, that looks pretty.
Mm-hmm. I mean, really, you can just go with the colors that you like.
And these are kind of the colors that I tend to gravitate towards whenever I'm either making something or buying something. I wear a lot of grays, and then my neutrals are usually like really rich reds or plums. Some of this kind of like army-ish lime green, and then some blues that are kind of like jean colors, maybe a little bit more jewel tone.
Yeah.
So this actually goes with a lot. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
bask in the glory of this wrap.
And you should. You should, really. It makes me want to make one. So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Is that it for, oh no, you've got one more.
One more. This one's a really exciting one. I'm not sure when I started this. I'm pretty sure it's probably sometime the end of last year. But this is going in my college portfolio. This is a shawl that I designed. It's pretty big. So can you tell I like really large? I like large projects that are kind of cozy and can just wrap around you. And I'll even show off this.
Yeah. Model that one for us.
Here we go. Let's see.
There you go.
Ha. But anyway, so this is just a basic triangle shawl. It has a little bit of texture in it, and then you can see it has eyelets in it. So I did design the shawl. I did design it out of vintage.
Yeah. Hey, like you said, it's a workhorse yarn, and it feels good.
So
it looks great.
I decided to make myself a black shawl because I don't have one, and I tend to wear a lot of black. It's my go-to. It's really quick to throw on in the morning. I don't have to think twice about it. So I made it out of black. It would look good in any color, and it takes 4 skeins. I'm writing up the pattern right now, and hopefully we'll get it test knitted pretty soon, and then it'll be put up on Ravelry to sell. So that's kind of the plan. Now, as far as if it'll be available anywhere else, I don't know at this point. Possibly. I'll just have to look into that. But coming soon.
Well, it's beautiful. You did an absolute fabulous job designing that and knitting it up. I think it's really pretty.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot easier than I expected. I know I probably could have done better with some of the elements of it, but it's a learning experience for me, and I hope that the pattern that I have written is easily understandable for other people, but that's why I'm going to try to get it test knitted. Make sure it is.
Alrighty, so let's move on to works in progress.
Yep.
Pull out our whips here. So I had another one of those squirrel experiences.
It's a beautiful squirrel moment, though.
I was watching the Knitting Posse podcast, and one of the ladies there had started the Carrie shawl. And really it's kind of a long triangular scarf. But so here's mine. I've just started. It's 3 skeins of yarn, and this is really, I've just added my second skein.
It's garter stitch.
It's garter stitch. I think I've said before, garter is my happy place. And so, yeah, so she was doing it, and it was one of those things I thought immediately, I have got to make that. I just love that. So I came in and said, I've got to figure out a yarn to do this. And
Literally
really,
Thursday she picked out this yarn, and now this is Saturday. So
yeah. So, you know, it's a garter stitch. It's going to be a kind of a shallow triangular scarf shawl-let kind of thing. But that's great to show off a beautiful yarn. And this is Malabrigo Wells Road, I think it's called. And purples and navies and just love it. I think it is just an absolutely gorgeous yarn.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on right now.
And we have a lot of different.
Yeah.
So this particular Malabrigo is their Dos Terros.
Yeah, it calls for a DK weight yarn.
It's a merino and alpaca blend.
Yeah.
So
here's some colors that we have right now.
I love this one.
Mm-hmm. Any of these would make up great. I mean, like I said, a simple scarf to show off a beautiful yarn.
I mean, even your pretty solid tonal neutral would be gorgeous.
Here's one that looks like jeans. You know, your
Look at
washed
this.
jeans, and that green is, yeah. But also, we have some Davila, which is also a DK, and it comes in some really pretty colors. Now, it would take 5 skeins of this, because this is only 123 yards in a skein. But,
I kind of want to get my hands on this. Sorry.
yeah. But beautiful colors, again, in the Davila. So,
And this is 100% wool.
And it was a toss-up. I mean, I was looking at the Davila and the Malabrigo, and when I pulled that purpley blue out, it was just, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do the Malabrigo.
I kind of convinced her to do that too.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
didn't take much convincing.
I was like, you've got to. This is gorgeous yarn too, and I would love to see a shawl like that made out of this. But I think that was just calling both of our names. We were just like, it's meant to be. So.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes that happens. The yarn calls your name, and you just answer. You're like, yes, absolutely.
I mean, I went home and cast on pretty much immediately. So I'm going to enjoy that.
Yeah, it's going to go by really quickly, too, because it's just garter stitch.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I mean, well, we know I have other things that I'm avoiding.
Well, we all
we'll
have
see
things
what
that we're
squirrel
avoiding.
comes along for next podcast.
Well, speaking of avoiding, let's just go into what I've been avoiding. And I don't know why I've been avoiding this. This is the Alejandra shawl by Joji Locatelli. We've mentioned it several times. And last time I actually showed it on the podcast, I was pretty much ready to start the border. So I think I was like here somewhere. Well, guys, I've started the border. It's beautiful.
It is.
It's,
really is.
Mosaic knitting. So it gives you the look of stranded color work, but you're slipping stitches and you don't have to carry a bunch of floats across the back of your work. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's taken me this long, but this is knit out of Arno. It is a Barocco yarn. It uses 3 colors, and I think it uses 2 of each color. So,
Oh gosh, this feels really good.
I know, right?
It's going to be so comforting and cozy.
The tag says that it is a blend of cotton and merino wool. And, I mean, it is, and it has just the slightest little hazy look. It doesn't really have a fuzz or a halo like you would have if you knit with mohair.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous. So why I haven't finished this border, I don't know.
Well, you've had some other things going on that you wanted to get finished, so that's all right.
Exhibit A.
Yeah. There you go.
But anyway, now that some of my other stuff is out of the way, I need to get back to this. The one thing I will say about this, though, Joji Locatelli in her pattern charts this for you if you want to follow a chart for the color work. I tried following the chart for the color work. It was, I think because I was trying to read it off of a screen, it was just kind of a little messing with my eyes a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So she actually has the other option to follow her written instructions. That's been a lot easier for me since I am reading it off of a screen this time. That being said, I do print off most of my patterns most of the time. Don't know why I didn't print this one off. So I probably could have followed the chart if I'd printed it off, but it's going to get done either way, so
Yeah. You're real close.
I'm close. I'm really close. I got to keep telling myself that you're close. So anyway, that's my work in progress, as well as this. Super exciting stuff to show you guys. I have a bunch of ribbing.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
I know. So this is a hat that was designed for Kilburn Woolens. It's called the October hat. They did a year of hats last year where every month they had a new hat pattern. And it's free on Ravelry. I am using my yarn. I'm using the Aran weight that has been most recently dyed for the shop. This is a blend of merino wool and mulberry silk. And this colorway is Jolly Green Giant.
It's a pretty green.
So, yeah.
That feels really good.
It's a provisional cast on, which originally I thought was like, oh, a provisional cast on, so I get to like do a double folded brim where I pick up these stitches, and no, it's a provisional cast on, and you knit a tubular border with that particular cast on. So it is 5 inches of ribbing for your hat, but most people are flipping their hat up and wearing the brim double folded, just not knit from that, you know, not knit together and secured in place. So it is a cabled hat. It will have cables. I think they're kind of like the antler cable. If you know the antler cable hat from Tin Can Knits, it's kind of a similar design, but it is a little bit different. And I got the ribbing done. Now on to the cables. So,
That's going to be pretty.
and then last but not least, we can move into knit along news.
Yes.
And show off.
You know, we're running a knit along, a shift along, with the Shift Cowl and the Nightshift Shawl.
Both are patterns by Andrea Mowry.
So,
And
I got my shawl started.
and
I
I
turned it over to
continued.
Bethany.
So Shay had picked out 2 skeins of earth
Yep.
for the background and 2 skeins of my Aran weight.
And originally started out with a green instead of the yellow.
Yeah,
And then,
this green, by the way.
yeah.
So it was
That's how the
gonna
green
be-
became a hat, because we decided the green and the red.
The green and the
was
red was too much like Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
It was a whole process. And now that we've gotten this far,
Yeah,
we're going to rip it out.
I think so.
So the yellow and blue, that's my yarn, will probably go into a new project, and then we'll figure out
Yeah.
something to do with the earth.
They're pretty colors. They're just not working out.
together.
I mean, the yellow, it just seems to be a little too strong for the red.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
So you start a
You
project.
think from
and
afar
you're
they're
like,
gonna
"Oh,
be
yes,"
great.
and then
Yeah.
you work on it. It's beautiful, but at the same time, it's just there's something about it that's not working for us.
For us, yeah.
Like, we just don't see it together. And maybe you do. I mean, if this is your thing, then go for it.
Yeah.
Both of these, sound like I'm bragging on my, both of these are wonderful to work with. Yes, absolutely. My yarn's great to work with.
Well, it is. Yeah.
I mean, both of the yarns are really great to work with. It's just the colors didn't really work out. So
Yeah.
we're planning on doing a new
I think
palette.
the value of them is
Yeah.
they're in 2 different sets. This is muted and this is bright, and
Yeah. So we're going to readjust, and I don't know if I'm going to knit I'll probably end up knitting the shawl.
I might get it started.
Okay.
We'll
But
see.
we shall
We'll
see.
Because I'm really into garter right now.
Well, then just hand it over. I'll knit it. But for the Knit Along News, we are going to extend the deadline. So if you want to join in, you have 3 weeks, technically, to join in.
Still 3 weeks.
Originally, the deadline was going to be March 10th. We're going to extend it to March 24th.
Yeah.
So you do have time to join us. All you have to do is just, let us know that you're going to join in. And if you purchase yarn through the store, you will be eligible for prizes at the end if you complete your project.
Right.
So,
And the cowl is only $3 3 skeins of a sport weight yarn. The
Shawl.
calls for 6 colors of a worsted weight. So, you know, they're very doable in the 3 weeks if anybody would like to join in the fun. So I chose 4 colors because the 4 skeins were enough to complete the
enough yardage.
Enough yardage for the shawl. So that anyway, so we're going to do that. We thought that would just work out a little bit better.
Give people just a little bit more time, and you know, sometimes that happens. You start in it along and you adjust.
Exactly.
So,
all right, what else we got? Does that cover it all today?
the last thing would be some of the products.
To talk about the.
So, with a hat like this, with a cabled hat, sometimes I'll use a double point needle to do my, as acting like my cable needle. But Cocoa Knits also has these cable needles. They have bamboo cable needles. These are very similar to double points. And then they have the curved metal ones. The great thing about these is going to be that they both have these metal, like this is fully metal, and then this has the little metal tip, or not tip, but the metal.
Yeah, the little metal center.
Metal center. And if you have the Maker's Keep from Cocoa Knits, which is a bracelet that has a magnetic square on it, they'll snap on there, and you can have them handy while you're working on your project. So sometimes I'll use cable needles like these, and sometimes I'll just use double points, but these are great. I love Cocoa Knits products. And then the other thing that we have are all of these Love and Leche lotion
we're loving
bars.
it.
Yeah. So we have, these are the smaller ones. I personally have a smaller one. I think I have the lavender and rosemary scent. And I've been using this constantly. I keep this on my bedside table. And if I ever have dry hands, it's a little bar. So this is our little tester. You can see the smaller one has a bee. My bee has rubbed off because I've used it so much. But it's just a little bar that you pop out, and you just kind of rub it in between your hands, and your body heat will cause it to melt a little bit so that you get it on your hands, and then you just kind of rub it in. And they have beautiful scents in these, but they also have an unscented version if you're sensitive to any kind of basically essential oil smell, because all of the products that are used in these are natural.
Exactly. They really are nice.
And they're made in New Mexico. So it's a U.S. company. So we really love these.
We do. We really do.
I've almost used mine completely up and need like 3 more. One for every bag, and then one for my bedside table, and you know.
Good idea. That's a real good idea.
So,
all right. I think that covers it for today.
It's a lot.
We appreciate you joining us, and today we are having our tea. We did hot tea at least one more time because, well, it was about in the 50s.
It's been
maybe.
in the 50s lately.
Yeah.
So
it's, you know, the sun's out and nice and shiny and bright. We've had some good sunny days.
It's been a little bit of a windy weekend, I would say. So, I mean.
And we talked about milk and tea last time. And so I made us London Fogs today. And that is Earl Grey with some milk. And I put a little honey and a little vanilla to sweeten and flavor it up a little bit more. And I think it's really yummy. It's one of my favorite things to fix.
Yeah.
Anytime, really. So I'll do this for like breakfast instead of coffee in the mornings. I'll fix one of these. So, but anyway, we appreciate you joining us, and you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.